Greetings all. I am so happy to be with you all today, and especially you, my audience out there. I want to present to you some of the people that are the part of the 12th annual Columbus Black Theater Festival this year. We have some really great dynamic plays by some great award-winning playwrights. And also, we have directors from right here in Columbus, Ohio, that some of you know. And we got a couple of them that you're getting ready to see in another form. You know them as actors, but now you're going to get to meet them sooner than later as directors. Aha! And I am so happy to have with me 4 of our participants right now. Let's start off with the playwright of one of our plays. And I want to introduce to you Mr. Kwik Jones. Talk to us about your play that you presented to us called The Ride.
Well, The Ride is a personal journey of myself after the death of my daughter. I was just in a way where I didn't know where to go. I didn't know what I wanted to do. And I would sit out in this area where we would go walk and just talk as father and daughter. And I was just sitting there one day on a bench, and 2 people just walked by. And I said, that's my story. And I usually don't want to write when I'm going through a traumatic issue, but it spoke to me. It really spoke to me. So I ran home and wrote that. And I want to say a quick 2 days or something like that.
You know, I want us to talk a little bit later, because I'm a playwright also, about how God gives us something really quickly and how we can just write it out real quick. And as you know, we take a long time sometimes to do a lot of things that might have works that we've been working on, still working on for years, but how God uses us that way. We're going to talk about that. One of our youngest actors is here with us today. Ezra Maycock. How are you?
Good.
Tell us a little bit about your character and when you were here.
Amos is he's kind of like a prankster. He wants to have fun, and he always wants to be included in stuff. And he also likes soccer. So yeah.
Do you like any of those things too?
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think is a reason for people to come see when you were here?
Because it shows how important family is, and yeah.
Yeah, that sounds good to me. Next, we have Jessica Anderson. Jessica, she is joining us this time for the first time this year with the Columbus Black Theater Festival as an actor. And I'm really so happy to have her here. She's in the play Twinship. You want to talk to us about that?
Well, I'm really excited about Twinship. This is the first time that I've been in a play, and it's being directed by Theo. Twinship is basically the reconciliation of 2 sisters with a little bit of a twist at the end. And I think it also highlights how important it is to connect with family before, you don't have the opportunity anymore.
That's really good. We're going to talk a little bit more about Twinship. And Mr. Alan Tyson, who's returning for the 2nd year at the Black Theater Festival as a director. So happy and pleased to have you once again. Talk to us about what you're doing real quick.
Yeah, I mean, thank you, Miss Julie, for allowing me the opportunity to come back again for the 2nd year. But no, yes, I'm directing The Ride by Mr. Kwik Jones over here. Beautiful story, I think a relatable story that everyone can relate to, about people who struggle with grief, with a lost one, a loved one, a loved thing, a loved situation, and how we all can relate to needing to talk to someone about it, needing to move past it, needing to write out the grief, but with people. And that's a big thing about this. And so I'm very grateful for this opportunity.
And Sean Maycock, the father of Ezra, welcome back. This is your, what is it, 4, 5? I'm losing count.
This is my 3rd year, I think.
Yes, as a director.
As a director, but I've been involved for Columbus Black Theater Festival.
Yeah,
for
long time.
Long time.
Long time. And very happy to have you here. As
Thank
also, you know, Sean also is one of our readers. So he has been an important part of selecting the plays that are presented each year. Tell us what you're doing this year as a director.
Okay, so this year I'm directing Jam, which is just a wonderful play with a little twist at the end too, which I kind of like. It's set in traffic jam, thus the name, and it's one that really makes you think. It's one where you kind of start out thinking you kind of know who your characters are, and by the end of the play, you realize there's a little more going on than you might have thought. I just really liked it from when I was on the reading committee, and I feel really honored to be able to direct it.
I also this year have one of my plays was selected, Rear View Reflections. Now I want to say though to those out there that think, oh yeah, Julie, of course they picked your play. You know, you're the Black Theater Festival. How they not gonna do your play? Well, Sean can attest to this. I put my plays in blind, just like all the ones that are submitted. They have no idea my plays because as they don't know who wrote what. And for me, it's such an honor when I am chosen, because there have been times when I've slipped plays in there. Hey, didn't meet the mark. It didn't come up. It wasn't presented. So my play this year, Rear View Reflections, was selected by the readers to be presented. And Kwik, I know exactly how you feel about that and what you were talking about earlier about how, you're dealing with something personally and something bam will just happen and you get that story and you're able to just go ahead and put that story down real quick, because that's what happened with Rear View Reflections. Rear View Reflections, I was thinking about my first husband who I lost when I was 19 and he was 24. And I was just sitting and thinking about it. It was coming up on time of the anniversary. And I was just thinking about reflections of, if he was still here, or where would I be now? And where would we be in our relationship with his grandchildren? And, and that he didn't get to be a part of. And just thinking about that. And that's how Rear View Reflections came to me. It just came to me like, oh, that's a story. Okay, that's not just my story, but other people's story. And I wrote that within a half an hour, and I didn't mess with it, change it, or anything. And as a playwright, Kwik, how often does that happen, do you think? How often has that happened for you? It's only happened to me a few times. Other stuff, I have to think about, or I get a commission to do something, but those that just come to me and bam, there it is. How often has that happened to you, if it has?
All the time, I think, for myself. Stories just come to me just easily. That's one of the blessings that I have. Another blessing is I'm a fast writer, so I don't procrastinate. When I get a story, I sit down and I push it out, because I feel that it's a blessing to have a gift, and I don't want to do anything to like sabotage that gift. So I make sure I sit my tail down and I write. I'm known for writing 2 plays a month because I just push them out, because I consider this my job. So like when my dad used to get up and go to work, he got up and went to work. And so I consider this my work. So when it's time to write, I sit down and I write. And my family can attest to that, much to their chagrin, that I will sit and write for hours. But for me, it comes all the time. When a story is there, it is there. It's triggered by a word or article or just something I've seen. And as soon as it happens, I'm on it. I'm all on it. Even if I'm working on a piece, I will take notes from what I thought about. And as soon as I'm done with that piece, I'm on to that piece.
That's what we call in the writer's world discipline. Because you really have to be disciplined. I can confess I'm not that disciplined with it because I do so many other things, but I do write daily, and I'm always writing something down, or whatever. But that's true what you're talking about. Like you said, this is a job. And so I put that forth. Alan, as a director, and you're directing one, by the way, Kwik, tell us real quick, because Alan, I don't know if you noticed yet, but Mr. Kwik here, Mr. Kwik Jones, has just won 6 nominations from the NAACP for some of his
Yes.
works. And first, I want to congratulate you for that.
Thank you. Thank you. It was
That
a
is a great
true honor.
accomplishment as a writer. And that's not the first thing you've won. And Alan, how do you feel about, working on this piece that Kwik wrote, and especially after hearing him talk about how personal that is to him?
Well, I mean, I think it's a true honor. So first off, I mean, to first write something so personal, or in a personal level, but then also I have a personal attention to it as well, because like me going through my whole struggle with alcohol and addiction and that whole riding the wave of that grief of losing the life I had, losing the love, you could say, that I had. I totally understood everything that he was pointing to in it, especially with Max and Zora and their conflict, and Zora trying to get Max to see that, hey, this is just a moment in your life. It's going to pass, but you just have to talk it out with me. You have to talk out with other people, and you have to experience this grief and write it. It's so personal. So I think it's a great honor. And, as you always say, and as I always say, God always gives us something that we need at this moment in time, because, grief is serious. And also, I think just riding that wave is very serious for every single human being. And so it's just such a beautiful, beautiful experience to actually dive into this work.
Jessica, as an actor, your play that you're in, Twinship, also touches a little bit on how do you deal with that. Talk to us about your character, and how do you feel that you relate to that character?
It's so ironic with this play, the timing of it, because the play is about 2 fraternal twin sisters who are estranged. And actually, at that moment, me and my sisters were estranged. And so what it did was it kind of inspired me to go ahead and reach out to my sisters and reconnect. Just, getting kind of confirmation from God, like, okay, I put you in my first play ever, and it happens to be about sisters who are estranged. And honestly, there's a line in the play where they talk about Jojo made you eat the cranberries. Well, that's my nephew's name, my sister's son, right? So I'm like, there's a lot of similarities in this play that have to do with my life. So I definitely feel like I stumbled upon where I was supposed to be. And I definitely connect with the play. Even the girl who's playing my sister, we have a lot of similarities too. We both have a gap, we're both Puerto Ricans. It's just a lot of similarities. And so the chemistry is really natural. It's forming very naturally between us, because I think everyone can relate to, growing apart with family. Things come up, you grow apart. But the importance of coming back together while you have the chance, and letting go of guilt, letting go of all of the silly arguments that you may have had, and just finding the importance of being together.
And Sean, the play that you're directing, Jam, it's a whole other different ball game. And talk to us a little bit about Jam. Okay, that was written by Guy Newsham.
Yes, Guy Newsham. Really, just a fantastic play. I'm really honored to be able to take Guy's work and bring it to the stage. It's really a story of, I think, what makes us who we are, how we get to where we are in life, and about how sometimes adversity, some of the storms in life, can actually be the things that help get us to that point where we need to be. But it's also, I think, a recognition that when you meet people, you don't always know them. You don't what your initial impression, sometimes we have this whole thing that, about first impressions, and you just get a kind of a gut feeling about somebody right off the bat. But oftentimes, and in fact, I would say almost all the time, people are more complicated than what you often see right out of the gate. You don't know their story, you don't know their background. And so when and I don't want to give away too many plot points, but when our story opens, you have two guys stuck in traffic in cars next to each other. And you kind of get a sense of what one guy is like and what one guy is, the other guy is like. And as you go through the play, you begin to realize that maybe they're not so different as it would first appear. And I think it's just really about finding peace in your life. And of course, that's our theme this year, peace in the midst of the storm there. And I think that there's a strong element of that, of trying to make peace with your life and try to kind of find your way forward. But it's funny. That's the other thing I love about it. It is funny. It's got some real humorous moments, and I think it's great when you can kind of mix those in. I think we have a great selection of plays, and I think this one just provides just the right piece to put into the mix of what we have in this year's Columbus Black Theater Festival.
And we have Miss Samara, hello, that has joined us, the playwright author of Twinship. Welcome.
Hi everyone. So nice to see you all.
You just missed Jessica talking about how much Twinship has affected her personally as an actor in it, and how it has caused her to reach out to her sister, who she was estranged with at the time that she got this role. So as a playwright, I know that right there is like, wow, because somebody is not only performing your work, but is being impacted by your work. Tell us a little bit about how Twinship came to be.
Well, I will tell you, I just came in and I heard you speaking, Jessica, and I didn't know if you were directing another piece or if you were an actor yet. But then I was like, oh, I think she's talking about Twinship, and I would love it if I could hear all that again. But Twinship, I've always been very intrigued by the relationship between twins. And whether they're fraternal or identical, there's always seems to be like a sibling rivalry there. And so that's something that I wanted to explore in this piece.
And here is Miss Diane Peters, who is also playing in Rear View Reflections. Diane, welcome. This is your first time with the Columbus Black Theater Festival. Tell us about your role.
Okay, and thank you for having me today. I'm playing the role of an old woman. And it's very interesting. I really like the story because you don't really understand what's going on until midway through. And I feel like that's very interesting and intriguing.
So in Rear View Reflections, some of the other actors were saying how they felt that the roles they were playing kind of represented something that was happening with them in their own life or in the past. Do you have any connections with the character's name in Rear View Reflections is just woman, which means she represents any woman in their 60s, which, by the way, in my 60s, I'm not old. I'm older and I'm a little sage, but I am not old.
Okay.
So talk to us, or did you feel any connection at all to the character?
Only that she was an older woman, and she had lived her life, and now looking back on her life, wondering if she had done all that she needed to do or wanted to do. I can certainly relate to that. And the fact that she was once very much in love, and that had ended abruptly, apparently. And so I can relate to that a little bit too. But other than that, it's really pulling out my brand new acting skills.
So we have Theo White with us, and I am so thrilled to have Theo come back this year. Theo's been with us as an actor, but this year He's coming as a director. And I'm so happy and proud that this is your first one as your debut with the Columbus Black Theater Festival. Welcome again, Theo.
Thank you for having me. And thank you for reaching out and considering me to be one of the directors for this play. I've always wanted to get into directing, so I guess this is a good start, right?
That's what I tell people. Start with a short. If you can start with a short first and you can conquer that, then you know you're doing really well, because everybody got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
I did. Talk to us about the play Twinship that you're directing.
Yeah, so Twinship is a very unique play that I'm very happy that I'm able to direct. So Twinship is pretty much about two twin sisters who are estranged, have their differences, and you see their differences, and they kind of like talk about how it was like being compared to one another, their upbringing, even though they're twins. For some reason, they had different experiences in their upbringing. So you see them kind of like having an argument and understanding, sarcasm, going back and forth, for all of it to all come down to, at the end of the day, I love you, you love me. Let's make peace with each other.
Now, this question is open to anybody that wants to answer it. Sean, you brought up the fact that it's peace. Our theme this year is peace within the storm. Anybody can jump in on this and talk about how the piece that you either wrote, performed in, or directing, how does it tie into peace within the storm and what's going on, you think, right now with us in our society?
For myself, like Alan talked about, when you're going through something and understanding that it's just a moment, that it's a season that you'll get through, it's extremely difficult. And so to have a theme based on getting through the storm and finding the peace is wonderful, because once you have something like that people can gravitate to, they can actually see that and be like, okay, this season will pass. This is just a season, I have to make it through. So to have stories like this in front of people is so important, and not just the typical stories that we get to see, but stories that have to deal with overcoming. That's what people really need to see, especially nowadays. And for myself, you lose your daughter out of nowhere, and I'm sitting there thinking to myself, how am I going to get through this? And I'm a Christian man, and I know how to lean on Christ. But at that point in time, only thing I can think about was like, what am I going to do with myself? And, and to find the motivation to write, when it hit me. And I got up and I went and wrote it. And I was scared to write it. I really was scared to write it, but it was telling me how important it was to write it, because it wasn't about me. It's about him using me to help other people.
Before somebody else jumps in, I just want to also thank you, Kwik, because the play is very good and it's very raw. And I want to thank you for letting me tweak out some of the realness of the language. Because, as a past chemical state dependency counselor, okay, and the 30-something years in mental health, and retardation and that whole thing, that's the play is real. Okay, just the way it's written, it's real. That's how people who are in the addiction and in their sorrow and in their grief speak. Okay, so I just want to thank you for that, because one of the things I had said to my readers was that I wanted this play to be presented because it was so important, because of the things that you're saying, because of the things that Alan was saying, because of the things that everybody has really said about how to get through it, and sometimes when we getting through it, it's not all pleasant, and it's not all sweet, sometimes it's raw how people speak and feel about stuff. So I want to thank you for allowing me we didn't take everything out, but I had to fix it, because we kind of, we got kids, so I had to bring it down to the level that people would receive it, that comes to Mind for God Productions.
Well, I had to bring it down
event.
to a couple of drafts, to be honest, because it was even realer than that.
So
I had
see,
to
so
bring
that
it
gets
down
what I'm
too.
saying, because when it's real, it's real. You know, when you're in that feeling and stuff, you're not trying to be censored. You know, you're putting it out there. But then, and this is another thing I like about you, and this is what I do too. And I don't know if about you, Samira, as a playwright too, because we got 3 playwrights here. When we're submitting our work out there, sometimes you have to look at the audience that you're submitting it to and be willing sometimes, if you want the words, if you want it out, if you want that message out, to change some things, to be flexible with some of the language you know in it, so that you can get the message across. So I appreciate you for allowing us to do that, because I have worked as some playwrights. Sometimes I thought something was really good and I wanted to present it, but they were not willing to budge on the language, and so the language was more important to them than the message. And as a playwright, the language is, yes, gotta have that. Hey, that's words. But sometimes the language and how it's expressed for me can be changed, as long as the message is still there. I can be willing to change and tweak a little bit of this or that to make sure that the message gets out there. Anybody else want to comment on our theme, Peace Within the Storm, in relationship to what you're working on?
I would like to comment. So what I really loved about twinship is that, you know, you have 2 sisters who are very different. One is a free spirit, one is, you know, more studious. And yet you find out that they both went through struggles that the other didn't know about. And what I find a lot is that when we're in seasons of a storm, seasons of, you know, just being down, a lot of times we think we're alone. And if we just open our mouth and share what's going on, we would have that support. And that could be an anchor of peace as well. So that part really hit home for me, that, you know, we're not so different. We all go through things. We all are in a storm of our own. Yet if we share with each other, we would have more compassion and understanding for each other. So great job on your end, Samara, for that.
Yeah, I wanted to piggyback on that as well too. I found that in Jam, that's kind of similar to what Jessica just shared. There's a sense when you start the play, you're gonna say, okay, here's someone who's kind of really wound up, and here's somebody who's kind of figured it out. You know, here's somebody who kind of has learned how to just kind of take the life as it comes. This person has peace in the storm, and this person doesn't. But as the play proceeds, you realize that neither person is always the way they've been. And it's not as simple as that, you know? And so you realize that one person who maybe looks like they've has peace, maybe hasn't always had that. And it's been a journey to get to that place. And maybe the person who looks like they're all wound up or whatever else may have actually pushed through a lot to get where they are. So I think that that's one of the things I like about Jam, and why I feel like it fits with the overall theme. Sorry, Samara, I think you were going to say something. I feel like I cut you off. I hope I didn't steal your thunder there.
No, not at all. I just wanted to comment on what Jessica said as well. It's you know, I think that whenever we address one another, we say, "How are you?" And usually we're going to say, "I'm fine. I'm okay. I'm great. How are you?" But are we ever really very honest? You know, do we just tell our story? Actually, no, I'm not fine. And so in twinship, you know, these 2 sisters find this connection, and they learn things about, they grew up in the same house, the same room even, but there was that disconnect. And then both of them wanting basically what the other person had, and thinking that, you know, they always say the grass is greener, and they come to an understanding. And so I'm grateful that that has come across.
Just to piggyback off of everybody, I mean, we're all in this together. And that's the peace within the storm. Once we figure that all out, that we're all in this together, we're all just trying to get by. And if we could just reach out to each other, and if we could just be this community that we really could be, and not so divided, then that's when we can really have this peace within ourselves and within the storm, because we're all working together to get through the struggle. I think that's the huge message of the whole entire piece.
I imagine we all draw peace from different places. And I am a spiritual woman, so drawing peace from God, the spirit, the universe, however you look at it, is something I do quite frequently. And I think it's an important concept that no matter the whirlwind that is going on around you or things that are happening in your physical body, that being able to draw that peace from the creator or the universe, I think is a very important skill. And in this play, I felt that the woman drew her peace from within, and I think that's an important concept as well.
It fits in because everybody has a battle that they're going through, whether you know it or not. And it could be a different type of battle. It could be a battle with yourself, a battle with family members, like in this play, or maybe just a battle with just other people who are not your family members. At the end of the day, we all kind of have a storm that we're dealing with. But at the end of the day, which is a model that I always tell myself and to other people who may be going through something, it will be okay at the end of the day. It doesn't matter what you go through. It doesn't matter your trials, your trials and tribulations, the challenges, the obstacles, the hurdles. It doesn't matter what it is. Even if you're not cool with somebody and you were once cool with them, at the end of the day, it's going to be okay. It's going to work out for the best for the both of you, or just for yourself in a certain situation.
Well, I want to thank everybody for being with me today on Let's Talk Theater. And I, once again, want to thank each and every one of you for being a part this year of the 12th Annual Columbus Black Theater Festival, where this year our theme is Peace Within the Storm. And boy, do we have some good peacefulness plays. Hey, do you have your tickets yet for the Columbus Black Theater Festival? You better get them. It's July the 5th, 6th, and 7th at the Columbus Performing Arts Center Van Fleet Theater. We have 8 great plays for you. You don't want to miss it. Our theme this year is Peace Within the Storm, with plays called In Passing, Jam, Rear View Reflections, Superhero, The Ride, Twinship, Zip It, and When You Were Here. Get your tickets today at mindforgodproductions.com. Go there. Early bird tickets on sale right now. Don't miss it.